A new regulation may soon be introduced to guide industrial activities against carbon emissions. Nigeria's Minister of Environment, Amina Mohammed, said these at the stock exchange earlier this week after a meeting with the chief executives of the NSE-listed industrial companies. The minister spoke in company of the chief executive of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, Mr. Oscar Onyema. Both of them explained that floating a green bond is one of the strategies currently being considered for the diversification of Nigeria's energy mix.
I think, first of all, a better understanding of what we mean by the new narrative for the Environment Ministry, that it comes behind the President's change agenda, empowering people and making sure we have jobs. So if we're going to talk about the green economy and a low-carbon pathway, what does that entail? And the businesses that we discussed with today were from industry, the pharmaceuticals, the cement industry, the oil industry, consumers. And what we're saying there is that if we want to diversify the economy, we want to grow it, then how do we make sure that there are less emissions, that we're using cleaner fuel to do it, and that we're addressing some of the challenges that they've put in place that they would need some policy remedies too. As far as our own regulatory framework and mandates are concerned, I think we do need to strengthen them to help enforce better some of these regulations as it regards pollution, the oil pollution, for instance, but also industrial effluents. I think what is perhaps a better way to go, and I think that strengthens partnerships, is finding the incentives for business to do that, so that they're coming to change their core business model and not just talking about corporate social responsibility and the environment, but seeing that this is an investment that's worth making for now and for the future.
And where does the stock exchange come into the conversation as far as the capital market is concerned, Oscar?
As you know, the stock exchange has been very active in the whole space around sustainability. We're members of the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative of the United Nations. And under that platform, we really present ourselves as a platform that is at the intersection between issuers, investors, regulators, policymakers. And so what we've done today is just provide a platform to enable the Honorable Minister engage with CEOs of some of our listed companies in the oil and gas sector, in pharmaceutical, in the building industrials, and in fast-moving consumer goods. And the discussions have been around what are corporates currently doing, what more can they do to plug into the agenda that the minister laid out for us, and also what kinds of incentives can be presented that would allow, make it very interesting for these corporates to build it into their business models. For us at the exchange, we've already started driving sustainability reporting. You would recall we hosted a sustainability conference late last year because we think it's important that we begin to have integrated reporting and allow people to understand what corporates are doing in driving the ESG agenda.
In terms of the green bond, what's the size that you're looking at? How soon do you think the flotation will be on the market?
Well, I think that's a question better answered not just by him but by the Minister of Finance as well. I think what we're looking at are the opportunities for those investments. Where do we need to have that energy mix that needs the technology for which you use these investments to finance? And I think for us in environment, working together with colleagues in the cabinet that are sector related, is to say, okay, what are the things we need to do and how should we do them? How much scale are we talking about? And match that up with the kind of investments that we need to make in infrastructure. Ultimately, without the infrastructure, we can't even make these investments in industry and business. So I think today what are the opportunities to see the proposal and how that is going to work and what we could possibly do to leverage both local and international resources behind the bonds.
How does the entire environment conversation feed into the overall economic renaissance of the government?
Again, if we're going to diversify, let's be very specific here. If we've got an industry that intends now to double its capacity to produce cement, for instance, rather than do that the way we've been doing it before, where we've been using coal, dirty fuel as it were, producing emissions that are contributing to global warming, we're looking for technologies that either clean the coal or you take it to something much cleaner. So those discussions, whenever we are seeing that there is a master plan for transportation, there is clean, there's smart agriculture being used, we're looking for technologies that are cleaner, and we're informing the business plans that we have in government with that. So it's not a separate investment environment makes per se, it's how it informs the investments that we're making in all those spaces and all those sectors to make sure that it's cleaner and that we're not creating the emissions that when we grow will cost us more if we don't do it now, later.
Amina Mohammed, Nigeria's Minister of Environment, and of course Oscar Onyema, the Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, speaking there from the floor of the trading floor on the environment, green environment precisely. Chinese Premier met with visiting Mozambican President on Thursday in Beijing. During the meeting at the Great Hall of the People in downtown Beijing, Li said that the China-Mozambique relations have undergone sound and steady development since the two countries established diplomatic ties. He praised cooperation documents signed during talks between Chinese President and himself. Li reiterated China's firm support to Mozambique's effort in safeguarding its national security and stability, and China's willingness to provide aid in promoting Mozambique's economic development and improvement of people's livelihood. Tanzania plans to start building a $3 billion fertilizer factory in partnership with a consortium of investors from Germany, Denmark, and Pakistan this year. The factory will use natural gas to manufacture fertilizer and will be built in joint venture with a group of investors. The East African country said in February that an additional 2.17 trillion cubic feet of possible natural gas deposits has been discovered in an onshore field, raising its total estimated recoverable natural gas reserves to more than 57 trillion cubic feet. The plant, which will be built in southern Tanzania near big offshore gas finds, is expected to be commissioned in 2020.